Welcome to Women Building Women, the podcast with the intent of driving out animosity amongst women. I'm your host, Samantha Letshedi, and this is episode 3, Standards of Beauty. As a little girl, I was taught that beauty is pain. I can recall times that I'd be sitting in a salon chair and relaxer was burning my scalp, and I was told to soldier on a little longer just to get my hair a little bit straighter. And I recall times when I would go and plait my hair and my hair was being pulled and it was tight and it was painful, but I was told, "Monyana o itshokela bontle." In other words, there is a level of pain that goes hand in hand with looking beautiful. I mean, Beyonce said it herself in Pretty Hurts. Growing up, I was insecure about my physical appearance. In primary and high school, I was the tall, skinny girl with pimples and dark marks all over her face, crooked teeth, and feet that I didn't like. But one thing that stood out the most for me was the fact that I hung out with girls that were referred to as yellow bones. And I would feel really insecure about my darker shade of skin. And I'd want to be, just a little bit lighter. But later on in life, I learned to love myself with all my imperfections. So the story does have a happy ending. And when I think of beauty, I think of what is pleasing to my eyes. So the obvious, hydrated, glowing skin with less noticeable pores. And anyone watching or listening, please drop in the comments your skin routine for pores that are not visible, because that is my struggle. An existing hairline, which is another struggle. And a body that is in shape. So it doesn't matter whether you are slender, slim, thick, but just, having some sort of shape. That's what I think in terms of the physical. But beauty in relation to personality is what stands out the most for me. Like the way you carry yourself, the way your personality shines through, that is so attractive to me. And not only in the sense of the opposite sex, but even in females, like carrying that level of confidence. Oh my gosh. Like right now, I'm just thinking about that emoji, that raised hands emoji. Like I can't find the words, but I'm just seeing those hands. And I'm like, yes. And I know, like people will often say that, but when you meet someone for the first time, the first thing that you see is their physical appearance. And yes, I get that, but there's just something about somebody's personality and the way that they carry themselves. So what does beauty mean to you guys?
Are y'all looking at me to start?
Yes. Yes.
While preparing, this is actually a rather difficult question, I won't lie. But as you've said and as you've covered, beauty stems from inside. And, sometimes we look at someone and be like, wow, you are glowing. Hey, like, you are glowing so nicely. And it's because they are good inside. Beauty, for me, beauty is self-acceptance and self-love with all of our imperfections that we have been so accustomed to think we have about ourselves. As you've mentioned, I don't have the hourglass BBL body. I am not light-skinned. I don't have XYZ. We just don't look at what we have. And once you've, like I'm saying, self-acceptance, self-love, and self-confidence, that's beauty for me.
Definitely. I think being beautiful is an aura. There's just something about the essence, the way the air changes when you walk into a room, the way you, as you said, the way you carry yourself, the way you smile, the way you smile. And yeah, I do think, as you said, that comes with self-acceptance, that comes with understanding your imperfections and your insecurities, because I think that's something that we all went through we all constantly go through. And yeah, that's beauty for me. It's an aura.
Oh, I love that. I think for me, something I say to myself every morning is beauty is you. And I think that's an important thing to take out of life that I've had to learn the hard way. And I just feel like, that important saying of the eyes are the window to the soul. And I feel like you see beauty through people's being and energy and aura. And I feel like it's like that typical story where a person walks into the room and they're like, who do you first approach? And it's always never really about the looks. It's more like, who do you feel more comfortable with? Who do you resonate with, And it's literally just the aura in which you carry yourself. And I feel like that's beauty is who you are and beauty is you, And that's what I feel.
I think I agree with all of you guys. I feel like beauty has definitely an aesthetic aspect to it. So we can't deny that. We like looking at beautiful things. We like being surrounded with pretty things. And I think that's okay. However, I like analogies. I like illustrations. So I'm going to give you guys like an illustration. So you go to a shop, right? You see a dress. You must have it. Beautiful. That's based on your observation. You now go to that dress. You feel it. It's not of the best quality. If I wear it, what's going to happen? My bum's going to stick out. This is going to happen. I don't think I want this dress. Because initially the aesthetic is appealing, but the quality of the thing or of the person in this case is what's going to draw you in and keep you around. So beauty is definitely something that comes from the inside and extends outwardly. It pours out. It's something you can feel. It's tangible, even though it's intangible. Yeah.
I love
She's spitting.
I mean, just to reiterate, beauty for me, I think, well, me personally, I was bullied from a very, very young age for literally being ugly. Like, the kids are so mean. They would to my face be like, you have a big nose. And I carried that. I think a part of me still carries it. I mean, I've grown a lot more over the years. And I mean, I'm 31 now. So it doesn't affect me as much. But like having that big nose, like it really took so much out of me in school, and especially taking that from primary school. Like I was bullied from like grade 6. And then got into high school and it was like, you're ugly. I was like, okay. And I guess like over that time and coupled up with like my trauma, from home life and everything, I had to sort of really develop my personality. And I think I've become a funny person through that. I've seen humor through my sadness. And I find that whenever people are attracted to me now, they're generally attracted to my personality and my vibe and my aura, like you guys said. So it's taken me many, 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 many years. But yeah, I'm definitely at a place now where I can say that I think I'm beautiful. And I think I'm beautiful because I shine from within. Yeah. Because obviously we all have like bad physical days, Yeah. Have days where like I look in the mirror and I'm like, where I just wake up and I'm like, girl, you just woke up. It's fine. And then I just, I'll do some brows, do some mascara, and I'm like, actually, you cute. So because I'm really, really confident in my personality, I think that's what makes me beautiful. I think just your ability to grow and just be a good person, be kind, be accepting, being open-minded, all those things together like makes a person beautiful. And yeah, like I mean, I can see a traditionally attractive man with like an 8-pack and, you know, but
There's 8 can they as a 6 effect.
They can be 8. but that's not what I gravitate towards.
Yeah.
He can have an 8-pack. Cool. But if the personality is whack, then you immediately like you're downgraded. You're like you become ugly to me. That's when I say like you're ugly. If I say you're ugly, it's because I'm talking about your inside.
Yes.
So, yeah.
Yeah, I can relate. I feel like there's sometimes when I wake up in the morning, and even after I've taken a bath, and I look at my face, I'm like, yo, Sam, your face is not winning today. Yo, you know, and I touched on my insecurities in the beginning of the podcast, and I want to find out: have you struggled with insecurities relating to your physical appearance, and how did that make you act towards other women? Because I feel like there's sort of like a benchmark, like you tell yourself that I am beautiful in comparison to a certain woman, you know. So have you struggled with insecurities, and how did you deal with it, and how did it make you react or act towards other women?
Wow, it's a really good point to think about, because for me, my whole life I was bullied as well, and I think that played a big part on my insecurity levels, especially like you said, with someone targeting your nose. Mine was weight, and I think it's honestly a breath of fresh air lately being in today's generation with like the plus size women, and not everybody falling into that standard and owning your stretch marks, owning those little rolls that peek through your jeans, and you know. And I think it's such an important thing to realize is like, I used to be someone that was like, okay, I want to look like this girl and I want to have this body. And I think it's something that I've really worked on, of trying to be like, you know what, I want to have that type of body, but I know that I don't have those hips, or I don't have the ability to have those type of boobs or things like that, you know. And I think it's an important thing that thing of comparison is you can have someone that you idolize, but not want to internalize in terms of you want to be that person, because you're not. I'm Deandra, you're Beyonce. And, you know, that's how I think it's a very important thing to take into account of comparing yourself physically, emotionally, mentally, of being with somebody else. And I think that's a big thing that plays a part in mental health, is like your friend will come, just a simple example of your friend will be like, oh, I'm having the best day. And you just rolled off bed and you're like, oh, I just got out at like 12 o'clock. And I'm like, oh, I'm not having the best day. And that like automatically brings you down, but it's your perspective of, you know what, let that perspective bring you up and be like, you know what, I think I should also have a good day. And let me get in there and be like, girl, you're a rock star. And, you know, just be like, you know what, she's having a good day. Let's have that type of energy together, you know? And I think that's a very important thing to take into account of when you're trying to compare yourself to other people. Mm-hmm. And you can do it in a really good way, you know?
I feel like, you know, especially when it comes to comparing yourself to other women, the friendships that you have around you, also the way you look at other women and people around you, you want people to just be supportive, you know? You want people to hype you up no matter what. Like, if I'm going down a really destructive path, fine, tell me about it. But like, I'm at a place now, and we're in a generation where, you know, plus size women are a lot more celebrated than we ever were. So I think that's been a big factor in how I see myself. And I'm so much more confident now, way more confident now, just seeing representation on social media. And I'm also at a place where I feel like if somebody is projecting their weird, narrow-minded beauty standards on me, that's not somebody that I respect. So I don't care about your opinion because I don't respect you. And yeah, I mean, like, I know that I'm attractive. Like, it took me a long time, but like, once I really started coming into myself and just dressing how I want to dress, like, people always say, "Oh my God, you're so brave." You're so brave because, you know, your titties are out, or like you're you're in a crop top. Oh my God. And I think confidence is also a big thing. Like,
Owning it.
yeah, like, obviously some days I don't feel good. Those are the days when I know that I am my least attractive. But the days where I'm shining, the days where I dress how I want to dress, I feel my most beautiful. And yeah, that's what beauty is to me. I really, really, really don't care what other people think, because I think, especially when it comes to beauty, people have such negative, narrow-minded ways of thinking, and that's a you problem. Like, you need to heal. You need to grow. Like, I have no problem finding, you know, men, women to date at all. Like, people do find me attractive. The people that don't, that's cool. Go somewhere else.
Yeah. I think for me, definitely, it's what I'm getting from what you're saying is that beauty comes with knowing yourself. Beauty comes with getting to a place where you understand your worth, your value, what you bring to the table, and therefore you are beautiful despite your insecurities, despite what society tells you. And it's refreshing knowing that we've all dealt with insecurities, even though each of us here at this table come in different shapes and forms and sizes. I know I struggled with my skin tone growing up as an insecurity. You know, there aren't that many people who are the same skin tone as me. I'm not from South Africa originally, so I felt like I was an alien. There weren't that many girls who looked like me, and I'm very tall and a little bit muscular, so I look like a man. And there were all these different things and all these different ways that society is telling you that you're not good enough. And you eventually get to a point where you realize that this is the body I'm going to have. I can't alter it. I can't change it. So I want to learn to love it. And yeah, beauty comes with knowing yourself. In terms of how it affected my relationships with other women,
I like how you answering the question. These bitches ain't being answered.
Tell them. I will answer the question. I don't think I ever came from a jealous point of view per se, at least not intentionally or vindictively jealous. I think I was in awe of the women that were considered the beauty standard, in awe of the women that were, you know, light skin, no blemishes on their face, and deemed beautiful, whether it was all the boys like this girl or whatever. And I was naturally drawn to them, and I wanted to become as close to them or as much of them as I could. So I found myself trying to be friends with them. So I was always, when I look at my primary school days, I was always friends or best friends with the most beautiful girl or the girl who was considered the most attractive, just because I thought if I could just be around her and maybe learn her little mannerisms, maybe learn something, I could be something adjacent to her, you know? And it took me learning myself and knowing myself to understand that I'm beautiful in my way, and this is my version of beautiful. This is how beautiful came out on me, and this is how beautiful looks on you and her and her and her and the next one, and not necessarily trying to compare directly. But it's funny how in that moment I wouldn't have said I was doing what I was doing. But looking back, I can definitely say I felt like if I was just breathing the same air as you, maybe I'd be beautiful too, you know? And that's how my relationships were affected.
Yeah, no. I think for me, growing up, the times when we grew up, beauty, there was an element of colorism to beauty standards. And already being someone I'm a bit fairer, right? But I wanted to be more fairer than what I was. Like, my mom is very, very light skinned, like she's very, 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 you'd think she's white. My brother, now he's a bit dark. It's still the cycling. But like, my brother was just below, and then me in terms of, but I was so young for me to be so obsessed with this. It just showed that there was such a negative narrative to your skin tone from a very young age, right? And it still exists to this day. Light-skinned women are given a certain type of platform, right? And in as much as probably we won't agree to it, right? But it exists. And I wanted to be a lighter version of myself because I felt like I'd be more beautiful, right? And not knowing that, dude, the most beautiful women come from all shades of color, right? So for me, I think growing up, my skin tone was an insecurity, but my body image was an insecurity because we weren't depicted as the most beautiful. I was a bit big weighted, right? A bit heavy, but I took an initiative and I lost the weight because I wanted to look a certain way. That was my drive. I wanted to look a certain way because I would be accepted. And I don't think society did not accept me. It's just that I didn't accept myself. And so whether or not I would become a size 6, it doesn't change. I'd have to love myself as a size 20 before I accept myself as a size 6. So beauty standards will always exist. They will always be there. They are generational. I'm sure even from the slave days when they'll say a house slave is a light-skinned girl, right? They'll always exist. It's about the narrative we put out there to the next generation and just accepting you for who you are, because outside of that, there's nothing we can do.
I just want to jump on there in terms of the colorism talk. So I relate a lot to Charlene because I also am originally not from South Africa. So growing up as well, you'd find that you're in a place, okay, you're the only one who looks like you most of the time. You're the only one of this skin color. And people tend to attack or query, and maybe not in the most kind ways, what is unfamiliar to them. So most of the time you would find yourself being the person who's being picked on, being the person who's being made fun of for a certain feature, because that's not maybe the particular standard of beauty, which does cause a lot of insecurity, especially as, a young girl trying to grow up and navigate. And you definitely look to the other people and think, why can't I just look like this? Or how can I make myself look like this? And like Lerissa said, it just gets to a point where you have to accept that this is the body you're born in. And most oftentimes, the feature that they make fun of the most is actually your most beautiful feature. I think your nose is gorgeous. They used to make fun of my lips all the time. And now people tell me all the time that they like my lips.
You see?
So
Everybody getting lip filler.
And that's the thing about beauty standards. They change.
Exactly.
In the 90s, it was stick thin. Now we want to be thick. We want to be curvy. So you can never fit into that cookie cutter. You need to fit into what you fit into. Yeah, because it's always going to change. So you need to know and decide that this is me and I'm beautiful the way I am. Accept it. And yeah, society will do what society does. And that's change because that's the only constant.
I used to be bullied for my big forehead so badly. So badly. I wouldn't even tell you guys what they used to call me. I had this name. I'm not even going to say it, right? Like, it was traumatic.
Wait, was it girls or guys bullying you?
Guys, guys are the ghetto, right?
We need to discuss that.
Yeah. Yes. But have you seen, like, right now, like, big foreheads are like the best thing ever. Like, right? Like, everybody would be like, oh my gosh. You know Rihanna. Rihanna. But like, it's just so crazy. Just to affirm you, Ramona, that it's crazy. Beauty standards will change. Growing up, you know, people will be like, oh, your forehead, my gosh, that says some horrible things. I will not repeat them. But like now it's something, and then it requires you to then internalize and say, oh, okay, then I shouldn't feel any way about it in my grown up. I should embrace it, right? Embrace it. So yeah.
Yeah, and you know, with beauty, right? I think when you refer to it being males, I think we give males that thing of, if a male tells you that you're beautiful, like you consider that, oh my gosh, I really am beautiful. Like I can tell Lerissa Nagan, girl, even with that nose, you are fine as hell. But it doesn't carry the same weight as if a man tells her that she's beautiful. And in the same
I mean, I'm gay, so.
I did not know that. Girl,
I'm half and half.
That is the best. Own it.
I mean, even you mentioned society as well. We give society, you know, that opportunity or the privilege to define beauty. We give media that privilege as well. Media paints the picture of what should be beautiful. I mean, Barbie is a slim, white female with blonde hair and a sharp nose, going back to the big nose story. And that's what we perceive as beautiful, because that is what media has painted for us. And I mean, you know, a couple of years back, we never had a Miss South Africa who was like Shudu, for instance. Tshegofatso touched on pretty girl privilege in the first episode of this podcast. And I want to find out how pretty girl privilege has worked for you, or how you have seen it work for others around you.
I have seen a friend, we won't say who, but she's gotten out of traffic fines. just for being beautiful. She definitely deserved a ticket that night. But she was so charming, and the police officer was like, it's okay, you can go. Just be safe. But she was smiling up at him. She just smiled. And he was like, okay. I just had to say that, sorry.
I also had a friend, I actually was speaking about it last night, and I was like, have you ever, because she's honestly one of the most stunning girls I've ever met, and I was like, you know what, have you ever experienced like a pretty girl privilege, like getting away with things based on how you look? And she's like, girl, the things I can tell you that I've gotten away with because of the way I look. And I was like, pure example. The fact that she can even just say that is like how people get away with just being pretty. And it's like, it's so weird, because it's like, for example, you see the strawberry and you're like, okay, the strawberry's so good. It's so beautiful. It's red. It's got the seeds. It's got the stem. You taste it and it's like the worst thing you've ever tasted, you know, and it's so like rotten. And it's just like the fact that people can get away with things by just the charm is so crazy. Like she's a South African dancer, and she went to Serbia, and she got all of her Ubers free because of the charm and the look that she had. And that's pure, like, that's a lot of money. That's it's European. And that's the pure example of how privilege and pretty standards can get you places.
I just have to add, so I lived in America for 2 years. I lived in the most superficial area. I lived in LA. And while I was there, every single time I went to the club, always got it. I never paid for a drink. Never, because like drinks in America are very expensive, like $14. I was making like au pair money, which was like nothing. I could not afford to buy like several drinks a night plus club entry. So just getting into the clubs, getting the free drinks from people, that was like the first time I experienced pretty privilege that I could use, you know, to my benefit. And it was like a really sad moment when a friend of ours had another friend of hers from France come and visit. And she was, you know, also chubby girl, not the stereotypical superficial LA club blonde girl. And we decided to take her out one night. And 5 of us we were used to the clubs at that time. The bouncer said to us, and he whispered to my friend, he was like, 4 of you can go in, except for that one. And it was really, really like sad. And this girl had come from France to visit her mate in LA, and that was like her first club experience. So yeah, sad.
Okay, and then that's sinking.
Like that must hit your confidence, you know?
Yeah. I think for me, pretty privilege is a double-edged sword, personally, in my experience. So I can say I have had instances of receiving pretty privilege, whether it be a ticket or so for my job, for my work, I interact with new people every day, and having an attractive face, people have, I don't know if you've heard of what is it called? Is it called the princess effect? Something where when you're more beautiful, people assume you're more relatable. So when you think of Disney princesses, they're all beautiful. So people have this idea that a beautiful woman is nicer, she's friendlier, she's sweeter. So working with people on a day-to-day, it helps me connect with people better because I'm deemed approachable. But on the other side of that, having a beautiful face in the workplace means that people also assume that you're a bimbo, or that you smiled your way through whatever qualification you have, that you are not as educated as the next person because you take the time to do your hair. You took the time to put on earrings this morning and put on lip gloss, you know? So as much as we speak of pretty privilege, for me, in my experience, it's always been a double-edged sword where, okay, yes, you can get a free Uber. Yes, you can get out of your speeding ticket. But tomorrow, someone's going to look at you and ask you if you're a student when you've been working your career for the last 5 years because you have dimples in your smile. You know what I mean? And again, in the same way, you cannot choose to be, like in her friend did not choose to be the non-attractive one. You also do not choose, no one chooses their features. No one chooses to look the way they look, you know? So that's my take on it.
Pretty girl privilege is what it's called, right? Like getting away with a lot of things because you're pretty, you know. I also think it's just natural, a charm that is, as a female, that you have, that you can generally get away with a lot of things, right? But to jump onto her, also a disadvantage of being a pretty girl or just a female, right, is the unwanted attention that comes your way. Really, like, we don't go out there to sometimes get people hating on you all of the time. And let me not even put it in a social context, but in a workplace context. When you're a certain person, like me, I'm a doll when I go to work. I wear heels. And these ones, hey, and I'm already tall. Yes. I dress really the best that I can for myself. And seemingly people will then say, oh, you know, I remember there was a time I used to work at a company and they used to call me a slay queen, right? Because of I was always made up, right? But it was for myself, and that's how I saw myself showing up to work. But then people on the other side, especially the males, would then think, oh, okay, no, man, that means, she wants me to say hi, or like it seemingly like you get unwarranted attention because of, being pretty girl, right? Pretty girl privilege. And I think it's a very wide term. Outside of just your looks, it could just be your aura. It could just be how you look, how you show up. You're always on. It's like if somebody comes into this door and they look so good. You know how I do, like if I see a girl and she looks so good, I would stare, hey? I have a problem of staring, right? And not because but because I'm so amazed, like, wow, you're so beautiful. Like, you've put yourself together, even your conventionally beautifully looking woman, like, yeah, look, I'm like, wow, you're so beautiful. Did you wake up like this? How does it feel? Like, how does it feel to be you? You understand what I'm saying? But like, I mean, it's ups and downs, it's not always easy and everything like that. But I mean,
but don't you feel good? Like, I find that when I know that I've dressed really well, I feel so good. And it's not about anyone else. It's about how I feel. And you find that, and I was doing like a bit of research. So what I do usually, a note, what I do before the episodes, I interview people. It's not, you don't see it anywhere on social media, but I try to get information from different people. And most of the guys were like, honestly, we don't care whether you have a weave or you have your natural hair. As long as you look beautiful, it's fine. I feel like you females, you just dress up to compete with yourselves. That's all. And that was like a general theme amongst a number of males. But I feel, yeah. And I'm just like, when I dress up or when I feel good internally, it reflects outwardly. And vice versa. I don't think it's about anyone else, but apparently there's this statement, and I was actually surprised about the number of males who say the same thing, that they feel like females dress up to compete with themselves or, with other females. Like, why are you getting involved in women's business?
But do you think that statement is true though? Do you think females dress up to compete with each other?
Like, why are you getting involved in women's business?
At this point, females just can't win. Too much makeup, then we have a bit of a blemish showing. They're like, oh no, I think you should cover that up. I don't think that will look nice. Or it's like you're never enough. But that's the point of where you need to say to yourself, you are enough. I don't need your opinion, whether it's a male, female. You don't need that how would you, that validation, And I think that's so important. Like it's so easy to sit and be like, oh no, I like a woman that doesn't have makeup on, that wears her natural hair. And then that same person walks to the next room and is like, no, girl with makeup, and I love how a girl can dress. And then it's just like, what do you want from me? And that's where it's based on what you girls were saying, is dress for yourself. Own yourself. And that's exactly of what beauty is, owning yourself, having self-worth. Because no matter, you can walk into two different rooms and people can say two different things. For example, your lips. Now everyone's like, you have the most amazing lips. And yet a few years ago it was like, they're not. And you do, girl. But if you own who you are, no matter what people say, you will stay through those standards that are built.
And I was going to say, when it comes to beauty, we should decenter men, or whether it's men or for those who are queer, women or whoever else, beauty is not about...
Lerissa.
Side eye. Hi. But beauty is not about trying to attract someone. Beauty is not about trying to compete with someone. It is not about anyone outside of yourself. When you got dressed that morning, you wanted to reflect how you felt that day. And this is an expression of you in this space and time. It has absolutely nothing to do with trying to compete for a man or trying to attract a man. And I think we need to 1000% decenter men from the entire equation. They need to be removed. Whether they think we're competing for them or we're trying to attract them, you're not involved. Stay out of women's business.
Stay out of it. The EPL is back. So just stay out of it.
Sorry.
I love that. And you know, Tiro mentioned earlier on about if a woman were to walk in that room with that, I woke up like this, you know, kind of vibe, she'd be like, ooh, staring and she can't help but stare. And, you know, we have instances where you go to like a braai or a house party, whatever the case may be, and you walk in and already the females have this hostility, like, who the hell does she think she is? And they size you up, you know, and that kind of vibe. Like, what do you feel when you walk into a room and you feel really good about yourself and you feel really beautiful? What is the general reaction that you receive from other females?
I feel like when I am at my most confident, generally when I'm dressing for myself, always dressing for myself. I never dress for other people. Especially because I feel like with my style, I tend to go like either like super femme or, you know, sometimes I'll go a bit masculine. I'm not thinking about who is going to be looking at me. I'm thinking about how I'm feeling and if I feel good and if I feel beautiful. And no matter what I'm wearing, if I'm feeling beautiful, I also think I look approachable. So if I'm in a braai or whatever, generally people come up to me and they're like, you look good, I want to be your friend. And I'm like, okay.
I love that.
Unless you're like a bigot, then I'm like, very easy to get away from that conversation. But yeah, I think when you just focus on yourself, focus on what makes you happy. Not like, oh my God, like if I wear a bra, like a man is going to think that I have saggy boobs and he's not going to like that. And then I'm going to be single forever. Own your tits, man. If you feel confident, if you feel beautiful, if you want to wear a push-up bra, wear your push-up bra. Don't do it because you want to get a man's attention. That is not the man you're gonna want. Like a man that only wants you because you're wearing a push-up bra, that's not the kind of man you want in your life.
I think generally when it comes to dressing up and beauty, it needs to be done for you and you alone, because you shouldn't be trying to elicit a response from others, because what then that does is it sets a terrible trend for you, because now you're basing your self-worth based purely on what you can present to the world aesthetically. Another issue is that I don't think we dress for anybody as women. I think you dress for yourself because it inspires you to do the best you can do that day. Because sometimes you can be feeling horrible, but you can dress up and be like, you know what, maybe today I can have a good day at work. It gives you that extra little boost of confidence, that lift that you need, you know. So in terms of the reaction of other people are always going to have a reaction. Good and bad, it goes both ways. They can come up to you at the braai and be like, yes, you look great. And someone will be like, she thinks she looks great because she just got these heels. And I don't know why she's wearing them because there's grass here. Like, what are you doing? You know? So it's good. It has to be for you. It can't be for others.
Like, let them judge.
Yeah, you know.
I paid for these heels.
Exactly. Let them go deep into the ground.
You know, and Tiro also shared how she feels when another woman walks in the room. And I obviously just asked how you feel when you walk in the room feeling beautiful. But how do you feel when another woman walks in the room and she looks absolutely stunning and you feel like, damn?
I'm like, damn, is she gay? I'm like, is she? If not, if I like, you know, something that she's wearing, like, I will tell you. Like, if somebody looks good, I will tell you, because I know the feeling. I know when other women non-binary people have come up to me, the gays have come up to me and told me, they like what I'm wearing, they think I look good. I'm like, oh my, that's a nice feeling. I don't necessarily get the same feeling when a man does that. But, when a woman says, oh my God, you look so good, I'm like, oh my God, bestie.
It does. Those bathroom moments. The best moments. I meet the coolest and the most beautiful woman in a bathroom. Like the conversations you have with those people. And then you go outside and you're like, hey girl. And they're like, where did you meet this girl? I was like, oh, we just had a whole conversation about lipstick in the bathroom. We're besties now. That's what we need more. Because don't you find sometimes you will actually take the time to go up to a girl and be like, oh my gosh, you are absolutely stunning. And then they look at you like, okay, have you ever had that moment where I would go up to a girl and I'll be like, sorry to like interrupt your night, but I just wanted to say like, I love your hair. And then she'll be like, oh, thanks. And then turn her back and continue a conversation. And then it's just like, I feel like that's also a very important thing to take into account is owning those compliments. Yes. I think a lot of people get like, they don't know how to take it. Speaking from experience, like a girl come and then it's like you automatically feel like, oh, you have nice eyes as well. Yes, you feel like you need to give it back. And a lot of girls maybe sometimes do that. They approach someone so they could get something back because of their insecurity, their validation. And that's again I feel like a lot of the times beauty is validation. Like a lot of the times you're dressing up for a night out and you're like, okay, mom, how do I look? Like, is my hair fine? Is there anything wrong? And then sometimes your mom will be like, oh, I think those jeans don't really go with that top. And in the meantime, you looked in them and you're like, oh my gosh, I actually love these new jeans I bought. And you walk outside and someone says something and it brings down your whole look and your whole feel. Yeah. And that's because of validation. Yeah. And that's why it is of, I am enough. I bought these jeans for this night. I will wear it. I think that's a very important thing is beauty isn't validation of others, it's validation of yourself.
And that's got a lot to do with like self-love, confidence. Like I know with me, if somebody says that to me, if someone says that they don't like what I'm wearing, I've dressed very like eccentrically most of my life, just trying to rebel or whatever. And I still dress pretty much the same, and some of my friends will be like, why are you wearing that? And immediately I'm just like, actually I am gonna wear this. Like regardless of what you think, I think I look good. And our styles are not the same. You're a different person. Like I know what, like as your friend, I can say, that suits you, that looks good for you. I wouldn't wear it, but that looks good for you. So why can't you say the same for me? Somebody might have, there's so many different styles and, in the world. It's not for everyone. But you can see that within that style, that person looks good because they're confident. Like whenever I'm wearing something like super colorful and outrageous that like my friends wouldn't necessarily approve of, I'm just like, I feel good. I'm going to wear this.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter.
So,
but that takes time.
Yeah, it does. So, Lerissa, if you had the opportunity to change society's perception and how women view each other in the context of beauty, what would you tell them?
Do some introspection. Because if you're looking at somebody from a superficial point of view and you are thinking like, oh my God, like her rolls are hanging out there, or, the skirt is too short, her cellulite's showing or something. Just take a moment and think about what you just said or thought. Yeah. And do that self-reflection, If it's superficial, there's a problem. Because why does that bother you? Why is that something that you immediately think? Because that is a negative thought. That's something that would negatively impact somebody's confidence. Why? Like some people will say that out loud to people, especially on the internet, People don't care. They'll say whatever they want. They'll insult whoever they want. But, you know, people gossip and stuff. You know, you'll tell your friend, oh my God, look at what she's wearing. Why are you saying that? That makes you a very nasty person. So just think about that.
Yeah. And to add on to that, I think there's not a single person in this world, in this room, but in this world, who hasn't felt some sort of insecurity at some point in their lives, you know? So I think beauty and the idea of beauty and the standards of beauty needs to be more inclusive. And also, I think we need to be aware of the fact that it is going to constantly change. So we can't always look at the standard to be our standard. Everyone needs to get to a point of understanding that this is how I am, this is how much I can do about it, and this is where I am. And I think once you get to that point, once you feel it in yourself, you're less likely to project it onto others. Because people who nitpick or who bully, it's because they don't at some point feel, you know what I mean? Like, I always feel like if someone gives me negative feedback, I always ask myself, would a happy person be giving me this kind of energy? Someone who's happy and confident and beautiful and feels beautiful in their soul is not going to go out giving negativity. So clearly this person has something, and then that's separate to me. But in general society, I think we need to be more inclusive and understand the real world versus what we want to portray on media or social media. And just remember that we've all felt insecurities before. So
Also, everyone is attractive to someone. Like, no matter what you look like, there's somebody that finds you attractive. You know, it's not going to be everyone. We're not all going to be the beauty standard, which used to be Victoria's Secret, you know, vibes. Like, I think also people are, especially men are less ashamed to show who they're attracted to, because you know you get the stereotypes, like the chubby girls, they get love behind the scenes, but in terms of who the men will date, they'll date the skinny ones, but they'll still fuck, you know, the fetishes. You know, you want to do that behind closed doors, but like, I'm great though. Why wouldn't you want to take me out in public?
It's also tying into self-worth, knowing that you deserve better and that you don't need to settle for those standards to prove that you are wanted. Because if you're wanted by yourself, that's all you actually need, because you are your home for life, you know. And that's something I've been working on, because I have a history of binge eating disorder and body dysmorphia. And I don't have a mirror in my room because I struggle to see myself in a certain light. And it's been it's been a hard journey, but one thing I've learned is that, yes, I might not be where I want to be in life, but I need to love me to get me where I need to be. And that's something we all need to, love me right now to get me where I need to be. And I think that's something I would want people to know, is that we all have our own stories, and I don't think it's fair to judge someone that's, let's say she's wearing a crop top and her rolls are sticking out. Girl, she's gotten to a point where she felt like she could own those roles and be who she wanted to be. And for you to sit there and judge that is so dehumanizing, I feel, because it's like she has her own stories. And I think that's something we all need to take into account, is that we all have our own journeys in life. And we all, there's a story behind it. So I think that's something to just be mindful of. Not going up to the girl and be like, oh, listen, just pull your crop top down a bit, this is showing. Her roles might be something that she loves about herself. Her bumps, her curves. Yet you're going there and being like, I think you need to cover it up. And I think that's something that's where
I think you need to shut up.
But that's the thing of, you're letting other people's insecurities, exactly like what you were saying, is you're projecting your insecurities on somebody else. Everyone has their own stories, and each day I stand in front of my sister's mirror, even though I can't have one in my room, and I'll be like, you know what, you were able to get out of bed today. Thank you, legs, for letting me walk. Thank you, eyes, for letting me see. Not everybody has the ability to do those things. And I feel like beauty is much more than just physical appearance. It's the beauty of living another day, the beauty of walking, the beauty of seeing, the beauty of hugging, appreciating other women, other people, you know? And that's something I really think we can all take from, is that just everybody has their own story, has their own journey, and working on themselves. I know I am working on a lot of things, and I used to dress for other people. I used to dress for opinions and things like that, and now I dress for myself. And that's a big step, you know, coming from the issues I've come from bullying, from grade 0 until matric, from all of those things, you know. And I think your flaws are your strengths, because they make you stronger and they make you grow.
Yeah. I love how everyone touched on the internal. And just to close off, I'd like to share, because I'm a 90s baby, and I used to listen to TLC, and there's this song called Unpretty. And at the time, I think I didn't really understand what they were talking about. But now when I listen to it and I read the lyrics, I'm like, yeah, like it resonates. And I'm going to just read a part of the song that says, and I think you know it, you're probably going to be singing in your head right now. You can buy your hair if it won't grow. You can fix your nose if he says so. You can buy all the makeup that Mac can make. But if you can't look inside you, find out who am I to be in the position to make me feel so damn unpretty. It's all on you. And circling back to Beyonce's Pretty Hurts, she says it's the soul that needs a surgery. It's here. It's within. If you learn to love yourself from here, it will shine. It will shine out to the rest of the world.
And that is why beauty.
Thank you, ladies.
Thank you.
It's all right.
It's a wrap.